There were so many different things that were transpiring with the track. I can't leave some of these out, how God was obviously involved. I remember we had to go under this small stream with all our electrical and everything going up to the stables area. There was 1,200 stables and a large water tower right on Route 17. And we had to get all the electrical and everything under this stream. And so they dug down and they had pumps and everything pumping it out. And they put this 4-inch culvert in made out of galvanized, corrugated galvanized. And I had to crawl down in there, and no one had the expertise of doing the welding of this culvert. But it was made out of galvanized, and I had no idea that galvanized, when you weld it, it put off a poisonous gas. So I'm down under there welding, and I hear these people yelling in, "Hey, do you have air down there?" And I said, well, the air is, thick down here. And they said, yeah, that's poison gas you're breathing down there. Let us get some fans in there to you. And I was getting, oozy and dizzy down there, and I didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden now they put these big fans in and blowing the air through through the corrugated tubes that I was in and welding this. Little things like this that God comes along and said, hey, I can't let my man die. And he just comes along and somebody noticed what I was doing and realized that it was poisonous gas. And God, he just takes care of us. He always does. Even though we are dumb in these areas, he makes up for the difference. Then I remember the big thing, the last time, just before, as a matter of fact, it was the night the track was opening. The owner of the track comes in with his big limousine and gets out, and the chauffeur is out and, opens the door for him and everything. And he looked over at me and he said, hey, Jimmy. He said, and I'm adjusting the lights on the flags of the world, okay? And they had this big circle of all these flags, and I'm adjusting the lights, just doing the last thing. Hundreds of cars are pulling in. It's getting ready for the opening of the track. And I hear this deep voice, and I recognized him. And he said, hey, Jimmy. He said, everything going to work all right tonight? And I said, yep, sure is, Jim. And he said, it better. And he looked over across Route 17, and he said, you see that hill up there? I said, yeah, I see the hill. He said, there's 3 holes on that hill up there. He said, if everything don't go off smooth and you embarrass me tonight with the lieutenant governor here and all that, one of those holes is for you. And he, just turned around and walked away, okay? The chauffeur then looked over at me, and he was serious, and Jim was out of distance and everything. He looked over at me and he said, hey, do you think he's kidding? I said, well, I hope so. And he said, he's not. And that's it. And he walks away, and I said, oh, Father, none of this has been tested to the full. We've tested all of the concession stands, the restaurant, the stables, the track lighting. All of that had been tested individually. But remember, we brought in the high lines, the 4160 volts. We had to bring that in. Everything had to be designed and built by yours truly. None of that had been tested. So I'm just saying, Father, this is all up to you. And then I remember after the track had finished, or that night had finished, everything was a success. And the owner's son came out, and he had a sports car and all of this, and they were laundering at that time, he told me, like $100 million, and it was a big deal back then. And he said, you know something, you're a hero to my dad tonight. You can ask him anything you want, and you got it. Anything you want, man. You made him look like a hero tonight. So that's another story. And I turned down $1 million a year job. I turned it down because Holy Spirit did not want me anywhere near that after the track was open. And there's other stories that are just like, I could go on and on and on. It was all God, all God. And you say, well, does God operate like this? I guess he does, because this is what he did. And he brought it out as a hero. And I'm only touching the surface. I mean, I've got some heavy-duty stories, okay, that will blow your mind. But I can't go into all of them. We'd be all just on this one area tonight.